Welcome to the Fuel Homestead. My name is Amy Fuel, and I am a homesteading mama, wife, homemaker, entrepreneur, and herbalist. Today we are talking about preparing for a second wave or just life in general with the recent pandemic and virus and things that you can do to prepare now versus waiting until it gets bad again, if it gets bad again. So stay tuned. We're going to get started. All right, so one of the things that people constantly said to me when the pandemic first started was, I wish that you would have had a video or a blog post on how to prepare for, something like this, for a pandemic or a natural disaster or anything like that. Now, I actually do have a video from a few years ago talking about how to prepare for natural disasters. And so I will link that video below. It is long. It talks about some of our personal experiences, but it's a lot similar to this. And so I have a handy dandy sheet that apparently I got coffee on at some point, and we're going to talk about preparing for the second wave of COVID-19, how you can prepare with food storage, with herbal remedies, with personal care, economically, homeschool, all of those things. And forgive me if I look at my notebook, but there's so much stuff we have to talk about that if I don't look at my notes, I'm going to forget something. So let's get started. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible, but these are things that every single person should really think about long and hard, and preparing now is the key so that you're not in a struggle later. All right, so the first note that I want to tell you is you need to think ahead of time in everything. In everything that I'm going to tell you, you always need to think in advance, because being prepared means that you're prepared for something in advance. You also need to get in the mindset of the fall and winter could be hard again. You could be in isolation even more so than this year. Normally it takes a couple of years, 2 years, for a novel virus to kind of make its way through population and then become less and less and less. So absolutely, prepare your mindset now that you might and probably will be in isolation again this fall and winter, and maybe even into early spring next year. Because of that, that's going to change the way that you live, or at least it should change the way that you live. Western civilization especially is very dependent on a system, food system, a health system, a government system. And so I hope, if nothing more, it gets you in the mindset that you need to take care of yourself and your family first. And you need to take those steps to prepare to take care of yourself and your family. All right, so that starts with food storage. So what people should do normally is, when you go to and I'm preaching to the choir here, when you go to the store, or for us homesteaders, when you're planting your garden, always do extra. So if you're running to the store, grab an extra bag of flour, couple times a month. Grab an extra bag of sugar, an extra bag of salt. Yes, salt, because in a real situation where the end of the world happens, you need some food preservation items, which we will get to in a second. Grab extras of things, because it's really important you spread your money out across several months, not try to spend money all at one time to get your food storage in order, unless you want to, unless you have the finances to do that. So buy in bulk too, as much as possible. Meat, grains, salt, sugar, things like that. Utilize your local farmer.
And don't forget to buy livestock feed in bulk as well. Grab an extra bag here and there. That way you have it on hand if you're a homesteader or farmer.
We should be doing this already. A lot of people bought farmers out because they couldn't find meat at the store. And the thing is, a lot of good farmers that have integrity will hold back product for their regular customers. So I encourage you to become a regular customer of a local farm or farm store. That way you're kind of guaranteed meat, even if the rest of the world is falling apart. Make freezer meals now to help bear the load later. One of the things that I consistently saw in my news feed was people like literally throwing a fit that now they were home all the time and they had to actually feed their family 3 times or more a day. Of course, for those of us who are home all day long, this is just normal for us. But a lot of people, and that's fine, you know, they weren't used to it and they had a really big brand new load to bear in feeding and tending to their family. So before you're in that situation again, prepare freezer meals now all summer long. That way you have stuff to hold you through the fall and winter, and all you gotta do is pop that freezer meal out for lunch or dinner and have at it. With food storage, you need to think about materials. You need to think about food grade buckets, which you can get from your local big box home goods store or like Home Depot or Lowe's. You can order them on Amazon. I will try to link all of this stuff below. You can get the Gamma lids, which are screw top lids, or you can just get the regular lids. Mylar bags with the air oxygen absorbers. That's really important. And then any type of freezer bags that you might need for freezing product. And then for those of us who are homesteading, or if you planted that victory garden this year, which I hope you did, then you need to get your canning supplies. Now, canning supplies, there is a very big shortage on canning supplies right now. And I'm going to tell you, you're probably not going to find them online. This has been since April, probably. If you can go to your local farm store, your local Costco sometimes has them, Walmart, your co-op, things like that, and buy what you can find. Honest to goodness, I'm just going to be honest right now. Anytime I've been able to find canning jars since April, I have bought the entire shelf. And I've done that because they always get more in. I'm finding that your stores, your local stores, they keep reserve of canning supplies. So they seem to be holding back and then putting it out as needed. And so I've only done that a couple of times, but those couple of times that I've done it or had my husband do it for me, I now have a pretty good stock of canning supplies that I'll need to get me through this summer and fall when we start canning. So not just jars, but you need to think about extra lids. Again, here's a situation where you need to think about the future, because next year there might not be lids in jars. So you're really preparing a year in advance, not just for this year, but also next year. So think about that, your canning jars and lids. Get a dehydrator if you are thinking about learning to dehydrate, or food freeze dryer is another good option. Food preservation items for those of you who are homesteading and gardening. If you're not homesteading and gardening, you can go to your local orchard or your local farm store, and normally they will sell seconds or imperfect vegetables. I actually have done that for years at a local orchard, and I have literally gotten enough tomatoes to last us through an entire year. And so just think about that too, if you didn't get to plant a garden, but you still want to preserve food. And last but not least, for food storage, you need to think about a water filtration system. Whether there is a pandemic or a natural disaster or not, continuously throughout every single year, there are states and counties and cities that have water bans for months at a time because the water becomes contaminated, whether through mining or flooding or some kind of other disaster. Water filtration system is extremely, extremely important. I cannot stress that enough. It's especially important in a situation, a grid down situation, or something of that matter. We're not going to get on the doom and gloom stuff, but I just want you to think of all spectrums. So a Berkey water filtration system is great. Don't just get the filtration system though, get extra filters if you can afford it. We just did this. The Berkey filters last 4 years or more. We've only had ours for a year and a half. And so we went ahead and bought 2 more filters, so we're good for about the next 8 years or so. All right, some other products you need to think about. Home products like cleaning supplies, toilet paper, paper towels. Don't go and buy it all at one time. do the once a week, once a month thing where you buy some extra and stash it away if you have the room. That's the best way to do it. I'm telling you now in July at the making of this video so that you're not doing it in October when the end of the world comes again. Baby supplies. I know this is not something that a lot of people have to think about, but it's something I think about as a mama. And if you are pregnant, or if you have children, or if you are planning to have children, stock up on your baby supplies, diapers, wipes, if you use wipes. Get clothes. When the pandemic hit, my little one was about to outgrow every single clothing item he had, and I ordered stuff online, and it took weeks to get here. The poor baby had 2 small clothes for about 3 weeks that he had to wear because all the stores were closed, and the Amazon wasn't mailing out unessential items, and apparently that's unessential. So get clothing in advance, and also cloth diapers, because if the store runs out of diapers, you can have cloth as a backup. I did this. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can just get the pre-fold diapers. And then I got the Thirsty covers. Again, I'll link this below. The covers are a little expensive, but you only need a few. And again, you can buy, 2 a month until you get to that time, which is all point of preparation. Diaper rash cream, ear infection, which I'll link a blog post below that gives a natural remedy for ear infection too, where you can get all the ingredients for that. And then just generic like baby Tylenol and aspirin and things. Even if you don't use those things, it's nice to have them on hand because you never know. You just never know. I will tell you, we went through an illness in January this year, which I do believe was the virus, because we don't ever get sick, ever. And the baby did get sick, and he was only sick for 2 days. The rest of us were sick for a week or more. But I was happy to have that Tylenol and ibuprofen on hand, because between my husband and I and my oldest, our fever would not break. With any herbal remedy that I tried, it would not break at all, period. And so I will tell you, in those situations, especially when you're working with a virus that you don't know anything about, it was nice to have that on hand. Now, I will deter you. If you think that you have the virus, I will deter you from taking aspirin. The virus seems to be working a lot like some other viruses that we know, and aspirin has been linked, not to this particular one, but other past viruses, to actually increase the probability of death with the virus. So go to the Tylenol. I know it's horrible. It's horrible for your body. If you're really that concerned, please take milk thistle capsules while you're taking the Tylenol, because the milk thistle will protect your liver. We'll go into more herbal stuff in a second, but let's keep on with the products that we need. So beside the baby stuff, feminine hygiene is really important. For all you ladies out there, I'm not going to go into the nasty stuff, guys, so just hang with me. Your monthly things that you're going to need. If you are pregnant, home birth kits are really important. You don't know if you're going to be able to get to your birth center or your hospital. Maybe you might decide last minute that you want a home birth. Those supplies are going to be very, very short to get. And when I mean short, I mean they're going to be not in stock very well. So get those supplies now, or if you're planning on getting pregnant, and you just don't know what's going to happen, get that stuff now so that you have it on hand. And the last thing for women things is mastitis is something. If you're a nursing mom, there are things you need to think about now. If you were to get mastitis and antibiotics were in a shortage, or you were not able to get to the doctor, or things like that. So prepare for that now. Other than that, I'm going to leave the herbal remedy stuff for last. If you're not interested in the rest of it, you can go forward. You need to prepare economically. Start saving money now. It's really something you should have been doing if possible. There are a lot of people who say, well, in order to save money, you have to make money. Well, that is true, but I'm pretty certain that you're probably spending money on stuff you don't actually need. And I can say that from experience, because we have been in a situation where we didn't have a lot of money. We went through the recession in 2009, 2010. That's when it hit us. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have TV. We got rid of it all in order to have enough money. And my theory is, as long as I have enough money to pay my mortgage and pay for groceries, I'm good. Now we've worked to a place where our vehicles are paid off. We don't have any type of vehicle debt, so that's good. But you need to think about those things now. Prepare now, because you might be in an economic disaster this fall and winter. And things like that. It looks like making wise decisions. Also, let me just talk a second. The United States is in a coin shortage, and I'm not going to rant on that at all, but it's a very big reality that the United States and other countries are pushing for an electronic dollar. And I can link articles to that from reputable news sources, not these third-party news sources. Don't waste your time on those. That are talking about the United States moving to electronics, which in some cases isn't such a bad thing. But unfortunately, there's no backup behind it. And what happens if, the bank blacks out on you? We've had that happen before. We've actually had our bank lose information of ours. My sister-in-law, her bank, she deposited like $3,000 and her bank lost it. Well, she literally, they didn't know. Nope, we don't know where it is. It's not in your bank account. Sorry. They were out $3,000. So don't, I've had people tell me, oh, that can't happen. Oh, absolutely, it can happen, because I know people who it's happened to, including ourselves. So, gotta think about that. Think about cash and money and things like that to keep on hand in a safe way, not in your sock drawer, so that you might need it if something happens to that electronic system. All right, preparing to homeschool. This is a big one. I'm going to direct you to my podcast, just that singular episode where I talk about homeschooling. Now is the time. Actually, last month and the month before last, like May and June, is really the time that you should have been buying your curriculum, choosing your curriculum. A lot of stuff is on back order now because a lot of new families are homeschooling this fall. I go through that whole homeschooling spiel in this particular episode of my podcast that I'm talking about. So I'm going to link that below to send you to it. But prepare for that. And just remember my biggest advice. Don't treat homeschool like public school, because it will not work. It will not work. Definitely set up a schedule, but be flexible. Stick to your schedule, but be flexible. And a lot of times, I'll tell you, we're done by lunchtime every day. So if you play it right, depending on how many kids you have and what you're doing and what grade level your children are in, it can really be fun. It can be challenging, but it can be fun. So check out that podcast episode in the link below. And then preparing mentally, physically, and spiritually. You can check out on the spiritual part if you're not, a believer or a Christian or have some other kind of religion. But that's important. When you go into isolation and when you're talking about, not seeing people or whatever, you need to really be prepared mentally and spiritually more than anything, and emotionally, because those emotions can get the best of you. So prepare now. Do things that help you get through the day. Do a devotion every morning, or meditation, prayer, whatever. Do those things that help you get through your day. And don't forget that self-care is really important. It's okay to take 30 minutes, an hour a day for yourself to kind of get yourself back into a mindset of, okay, I need peace. I'm okay. Let's get through this. And then preparing physically, get healthy now so that you don't have to worry about it later. And we're going to go through all the health stuff in just a second, which is a video in and of itself. But I'm trying to keep it short. We're like right at 20 minutes. Get prepared physically now. Make wiser health decisions. Make wiser food decisions. Start exercising. Things like that. Get healthy now so that you're not so concerned later. If you have major health issues, take care of them now. Doctors' offices are starting to open back up. Go to the doctor. Use our healthcare system as integrative medicine. Even if you have no health issues at all, go to the doctor and get a blood test. Let's see what's going on in your body. We call this integrative medicine. Herbalists even believe in this. A lot of herbalists do, at least. Regular checkups with your doctor or your herbalist or your nutritionist, getting blood work done every few years is okay, because the best key to natural living and natural medicine is knowing what's going on in your body before it really flares up. So take care of these things now, prepare yourself now. And the last thing with that is to make sure that if you are on prescription medications, that you get a 3-month supply in advance. Get on that mail list if you can, where they mail you your medicine every 3 months. And I cannot stress that enough, because there will be shortages of medication, and it's important for you to prepare for that. All right, let's get into the herbal remedies portion of this video. I feel like a lot of my followers follow me specifically for this. I will tell you that this fall I am hoping to launch an actual herbalism course. A lot of people have been asking me to do this. And so I'm trying. I've started it. I've started putting it together, and I'm hoping this fall or early winter to launch it. I'd really like to launch it before Christmas, but we'll just have to see how time allows that. So let's talk about it real quick, about herbalism and kind of preparing natural remedies for this fall, because now's the time to do it, whether we're in a pandemic or not. Now's the time to prepare. So let's talk about growing your herbs. There's still time to grow herbs, at least, in northern states, you're just getting started. So throw them herbs in the ground, throw those seeds in buckets or whatever. Start growing the herbs you need now. And we'll go over a couple that I think you should be using or harvesting or buying. Or if you're in a southern state, there's still time to grow most of these seeds. There are some herbs you can't grow now, it's too late, but definitely start. Give it a good old-fashioned try. How about that? If you cannot grow herbs or you have no desire, buy them. Let me tell you right now, there's already going to be a shortage on elderberries this fall and winter. There will already be a shortage on mullein this fall and winter. And astragalus and rose hips. A lot of the immune boosting and respiratory herbs are going to be in short supply, probably starting in September. I'm serious. So if you can get that stuff now, it's important for you too. And we'll go over those herbs in a second. If you're growing herbs, learn how to preserve them, learn how to dry them. Do those things now. Because it's very important to learn how to properly do it. And I do have links that I will link on my website and in videos. You're going to need to make elderberry syrup. If you have elderberries already, or if you can buy them, start making elderberry syrup in August. I have a really good elderberry and astragalus syrup. I might even modify that this year with a few more things. Like rose hips. Last year I added rose hips to my elderberry syrup. You need to prepare that stuff in August and start taking it in September. And so that's really important. Like I said, buy herbs now, buy your prescription medication in advance. So let's go over a few herbs that I recommend real quick for this. Just make sure for this fall and winter. I do recommend elderberry. I recommend astragalus. Elderberry there's actually promising research that I will link below that shows elderberry can inhibit the virus from attaching to your cellular wall. So there's promising research on that. Elderberry, we know scientifically, protects against influenza and can help shorten the duration of influenza, which is another important thing to think about this year. Astragalus is a major immune boosting herb. So those are the three for COVID and influenza that I recommend. Mullein is something I would keep on hand. Right now is the time to wild forage for it if you wild forage. I just wrote a blog post this past week that I will link below. It is incredible. I will make an entire video on it, hopefully next week. Great respiratory health. You can smoke it. I know that sounds weird. Yes, you can smoke it during times of respiratory distress, and it will just clear up anything in your chest. It will get rid of excess mucus in your chest, which is really important when it comes to COVID, because a lot of people literally drowned in their own mucus. That's why they die, because they can't breathe. And so mullein is really important for that. And there are so many other things. It's antiviral, antibacterial. It's been proven multiple times to get rid of mycobacteria, and also it's been proven to help heal tuberculosis. So, I mean, it's an extensive list, guys. I promise I will get a video up specifically about that, but for now, I will link the blog post with all that information in the description below. So those are the herbs I recommend that you get more than anything. There are lists of herbs that I could give you, but I don't want to overwhelm you, because you might be like, I have no idea how to use this stuff. So check those out first. Moving on to other health things, buy an EMT first aid kit. They are a little expensive. I will link the one that we have below. But it's very important to know that at any moment, you may not have the health system available to you. Learn how to handle minuscule and common and simple ailments and wounds at home. Really can't stress that enough. Learn how to do those things now, and keep an EMT grade first aid kit that includes a stethoscope, bandages, tourniquets, suture kits, anything like that. Keep those things on hand now, because you never know when you might need them. Again, the pain relievers and fever reducers, even if you never use them, I will tell you, again, back when we were sick in January, we had to go buy pain reliever and fever reducer because we hadn't had to take it for years. And so buy it now in advance before they don't have it. Things like peroxide and alcohol for cleansing, suture kit and other everyday things. Vodka and bourbon, not only for sterilizing and cleansing, but also for tincture making. You're going to need that if you're going to make tinctures to use with herbs. And also, you never might know when you need a shot. Just saying. There are, of course, plenty of other things. Think of the things that you need, that your family goes through. Stock up on those things now, and you will not regret doing that later. I hope this list didn't overwhelm you. It overwhelmed me writing it, and I could talk more and more and more. But I hope it gave you some sense of what you need to do to prepare for life with COVID, especially in the next year and maybe even a year after that. It's better to prepare now so that you're not freaking out later, and you're kind of set and good. If you still have time to plant a fall garden, plant a fall garden if you can. If you're concerned about food, network with local farmers and other places. It's really important to do these things now so that you're not rushing around later when things happen and start shutting down again. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, all of this information is in the description below. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them. And until next time, have a great day and happy homesteading.